Thank you and good evening. It's good to be here tonight for this important debate on the question, does God matter? Now notice that we're not here tonight to debate the question, does God exist? But rather the even more fundamental question, does God matter? I'm persuaded that it matters enormously whether or not God exists. Those who shrug their shoulders and say, what difference does it make if God exists or not, show merely that they haven't thought very deeply about this question. I think even atheist philosophers like Sartre and Camus, who have thought deeply about this question, recognize that it makes an enormous difference whether or not God exists. And in my opening speech, I'm going to try to explain why. Man, writes Loren Eiseley, is the cosmic orphan. He's the only creature in the universe who asks why. Other animals have instincts to guide them. But man has learned to ask questions. Who am I, he asks. Why am I here? Where am I going? Ever since the Enlightenment, when modern man threw off the shackles of religion, he's tried to answer those questions without reference to God. But the answers that came back were not exhilarating, but dark and terrible. You are the accidental byproduct of nature, the result of matter plus time plus chance. There is no reason for your existence. All you face is death. Modern man thought that once he had gotten rid of God, he had freed himself from all that repressed and stifled him. Instead, he discovered that in killing God, he had only succeeded in orphaning himself. As one atheist philosopher has put it, human life is mounted upon a subhuman pedestal and must shift for itself, alone, in the heart of a silent and mindless universe. If God does not exist, then both man and the universe are inevitably doomed to death. Man, like all biological organisms, must die. And the universe, too, faces a death of its own. Scientists tell us that the universe is expanding, and as it does so, everything in it grows further and further apart. As it expands, it grows colder and colder as its energy is used up. Eventually, all the stars will burn out, and all matter will collapse into dead stars and black holes. There will be no light at all. There will be no life. There will be no heat. Only the corpses of dead stars and galaxies, ever expanding into the endless darkness and the cold recesses of space, a universe in ruins. This is not science fiction. As unimaginable as it may be, this will happen. So not only is the life of each individual person doomed, the entire human race is destined to destruction. There is no escape. There is no hope. On atheism, then, there is no God and there is no immortality. And what is the consequence of this? As many atheist philosophers, from Nietzsche to Russell to Sartre, have recognized, it means that life itself is absurd. It means that the life we do have is without ultimate significance, value, or purpose. Let me say a word about each of these. First, there is no ultimate meaning to life. If each individual person passes out of existence when he dies, then what ultimate meaning can be given to his life? Does it really matter whether he ever really existed at all? Of course, his life may be important relative to certain other events. But what is the ultimate significance of any of those events? If everything is doomed to destruction, then what does it matter that you influenced anything? Ultimately, it makes no difference. In his poem, The End of the World, the American poet Archibald MacLeish portrays life as an idiotic circus until one day the show is all over. Let me read it to you now. Quite unexpectedly, as Vassereau, the armless ambidextrian, was lighting a match between his great and second toe, and Ralph the lion was engaged in biting the neck of Madame Sauceman while the drum pointed, and Teeny was about to cough in waltz time, swinging Jocko by the thumb. Quite unexpectedly, the top blew off. And there overhead, there hung over those thousands of white faces, those dazed eyes, there in the starless dark, the poise, the hover, there with vast wings across the canceled skies, there in the sudden blackness, the black pall of nothing. 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 Nothing at all. This is the horror of modern man. Because he ends in nothing, he ultimately is nothing. The contributions of the scientist to the advance of human knowledge, the researches of the doctor to alleviate human pain and suffering, the efforts of the diplomat to secure peace in the world, the sacrifices of good people everywhere to better the lot of the human race, in the end, all these come to nothing. They make no bit of difference, not one bit. Thus, on atheism, life itself becomes ultimately meaningless. Man and the universe are without ultimate significance. Second, there is no ultimate value in life. If there is no God, then there can be no objective standards of right and wrong. By objective standards, I mean standards which exist independently of human opinion. If God does not exist, then moral values are either just expressions of personal taste, or else the byproducts of socio-biological evolution and conditioning. As the philosopher of science Michael Ruse explains, the position of the modern evolutionist is that humans have an awareness of morality because such an awareness is of biological worth. Morality is a biological adaptation, no less than our hands and feet and teeth. Considered as a rationally justifiable set of claims about an objective something, ethics is illusory. I appreciate that when somebody says, "Love thy neighbor as thyself," they think they are referring above and beyond themselves. Nevertheless, such reference is truly without foundation. Morality is just an aid to survival and reproduction, and any deeper meaning is illusory. Richard Dawkins puts it succinctly: there is at bottom no design, no purpose, no evil, no good, nothing but pointless indifference. We are machines for propagating DNA. In a world without God, who's to say whose values are right and whose are wrong? Who's to judge that one person's values are inferior to those of another? The concept of morality loses all meaning in a universe without God. All we are confronted with, in Jean-Paul Sartre's words, is the bare, valueless fact of existence. In a world without God, there can be no objective right and wrong, only our culturally and personally relative subjective judgments. That means that it's impossible to condemn war, oppression, or crime as evil, nor can you praise brotherhood, equality, tolerance, and love as good. For in a universe without God, good and evil do not exist. There is only the bare, valueless fact of existence, and there is nobody to say that you are right and I am wrong. Third, there is no ultimate purpose of life. If death stands with open arms at the end of life's trail, then what is the goal of life? Is it all for nothing? Is there no reason for life? And what of the universe? Is it utterly pointless? If its destiny is a cold grave in the recesses of outer space, then the answer must be yes, it is pointless. There is no goal, no purpose for the universe. The litter of a dead universe will just go on expanding and expanding forever. And what of man? Is there no purpose at all for the human race? Or will it simply peter out someday, lost in the oblivion of an indifferent universe? The English writer H.G. Wells foresaw such a prospect. In his novel, The Time Machine, Wells' time traveler journeys far into the distant future to discover the destiny of man. All he finds is a dead earth, except for a few lichens and moss, orbiting a gigantic red sun. The only sounds are the rush of the wind and the gentle ripple of the sea. Beyond these lifeless sounds,